And welcome back to the Raza BIPOC Access Podcast.
Bop, bop, bop.
You are here with your co-host, Mark at Creative Logic, and
Spin El Poeta, One Mic Educators. And we're honored to have a very special guest today who brought gifts, Mark. I think it's the first gift
gifts.
we've got offered. We're honored to have Tracy Francis here, a professional spoken word artist, founder of Outpour, which we'll get into, and what we have here, Poeta. Would you like to let us know about you, who you are, what you do? And I've been wanting this tea for a minute still.
well, let's get started with a little bit of the tea, as well as you talking a bit to us about the blend that you're going to be pouring for us.
Thank you, definitely, and it's wonderful to be here. It's such an honor, Mark and Spin, definitely. So let's do this.
And what is the name of the tea that you're pouring right now?
So this tea here, as you can see, this lovely orange color. It's Boost. This tea right here.
Okay.
So Boost is our fall tea. It helps to boost the immune system. Lemon and ginger with lemongrass, small apple pieces in there as well.
It smells wonderful.
Oh, yes. So let's
Get a little
do
aroma for everyone watching.
Thank you so much. Oh, here you go, Ben. Thank you so much. And as I was lying on the floor when they walked in, this is clearly what I need. Thank you so much. Ooh.
Boost.
You got to smell this tea before you drink it.
I know you do. It's hot, but
Very good. Well, actually, let's touch a bit on that, Tracy. Can you share with us a bit about your journey into poetry as well as entrepreneurship? Like, how did you start writing poetry, and what inspired you to launch Outpour and Poeta?
of course. So poetry is, I can almost say it's like almost inherent to me. As a young child, reading has been something that I loved. I've always found myself writing stories, and I've even won the national competition for a DARE Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program, and a couple of other reading programs that's based on the regional level as a young person. And I found myself journaling quite often. It's where I would put my emotions, my expressions, and I wanted a platform, to express myself. Growing up in Grenada, I didn't have that much of a platform. I'm talking open mics and so on. And only as I migrated in Canada, I close to the pandemic, I found this network online, Toronto Poetry Slam. They were online. That's where I met a mutual friend between Spin and I, Shelley Grace. I met a couple of other poets, from the U.S. and the U.K., and that really helped me to came out of myself and to launch myself into being a professional poet. Coming to the end of the pandemic, when we were able to socialize again, I decided to start Outpour because I felt like where I lived in the Durham region, we also didn't have that platform, that same platform that I yearned for back home in Grenada growing up. And Outpour, it was launched from that basis, and it was really something that the community wanted, and we continue to have the open mics and the different workshops.
Okay. So that's Outpour, and it's important that you have this platform. And I think that drew me to you when Shelley introduced us, because being new to the country and still starting out your own series is important, to platform other artists. Now tell us about this wonderful tea and Pour It, because you got something special here.
So Pour It was launched. The idea came during the pandemic as well. After the pandemic, when we were able to socialize, a few of my friends, closest friends and families, I invited them to come home, and we would buy regular supermarket teas, because tea has always been a passion for me. So we would serve teas, and I would perform pieces of my poems for them. And they enjoyed that so much that they asked, to have that event again. It was in our living room. And I said to myself, how can I bring this out to the world? How can I share this same feeling that they got when they came to my home? And the idea of having the herbs, because I know herbs from back in Grenada, right? We would get our leaves from outside and we would dry them and steep them. We have this delicious tasting tea with beautiful, wonderful aroma. So I said, you know what? I am going to get those herbs, blend them, and package them out. But what I'll also do is I'll put excerpts of my poems. Let me get this one. Excerpts of my poems at the back of each tea. And the poem will relate to the name of the tea. For example, calm. Calm, soursop leaf, chamomile, bay leaf. This helps with relaxation. And the poem at the back of it is also a poem that will help, to bring comfort to the listener. So this is the basis, this is where Poet was birthed from living room, with a couple friends, family, just enjoying each other's company. This is where Poet was born from.
And that's why they call Grenada. That's right. They call Grenada the island of
Island
spice.
of spice.
And everything nice. Okay. I always wondered, but now I got a taste.
That's right.
And we know you briefly did touch a bit on Outpour, but let's discuss a bit more now in terms of the origins of it and also what motivated you to create that platform for creatives.
Yes. So in Durham, we didn't have much of a platform for creatives. I couldn't find, because I found myself going to Toronto quite a lot for open mics. And I came across a number of poets in the Durham region who asked about, those open mics and said, oh, I wish it was, in Durham. And I said to myself, maybe we can create that platform ourselves. And I took the initiative, reached out to a local restaurant owner, and he said, yes, of course, you can have your event here. Reached out to those artists, not just poets, right, but singers and musicians, creatives on a whole. And we all got together and started having that, series of open mics. We included karaoke in it. It was really a wonderful idea and something that we all craved for.
And how did it grow? So you're talking about karaoke, et cetera. Were all of these components right from the first event, or did you start to kind of build those on as you saw a greater interest from your audience?
That's good. So it did not start from the very beginning. That is how it evolved. So at the very beginning, we had just poets. The next event, we brought in singers, and we had musicians, saxophone player, guitarist. And I collaborated with a local karaoke host that does karaoke at different restaurants all throughout Toronto and the GTA. And we had a karaoke and poetry night.
So thank you for sharing that with us. Let's talk a bit about how that contributes to the inclusive atmosphere that you create, like collaborating with other organizations and curators like karaoke, for example. How did that come about, and how does that add value to the overall event?
Yeah, so collaboration is very important, and as well as, being inclusive. There is another art organization in Durham as well that asked me to host. The owner came to our open mics and said, what, would you like to host? It's similar, but still different, right? The platform that artist is doing, that organization, is doing. And I do host monthly open mics for them as well, right?
Okay.
So I brought the Outpour part of it and collaborated with that organization. So we do that going forward monthly. And as well, I continue to have my other events, for example, a restaurant in Markham, tea and poetry. We do that as well. And there are certain other organizations. So Outpour has helped me to grow as an individual, with other organizations. For example, the Region of Durham, Olive Branch of Hope, that's a cancer awareness group, and some of the other, Rogers, for example, as well, Tridel, other organizations that I've worked with. Outpour has helped me to really launch myself as an artist there, and while at the same time creating a platform for others.
Let's get back to the tea for a second. Because there's a good segue here, and I love this tea. I can't say that enough. You mentioned the connection with poets and teas, and I just wanted to explore a little bit more on that. What is the significance? I mean, it's kind of common sense when you think about it, but I've never really seen that connection and the fact you bridged it and you have your poetry in there. Why is it important for you to fuse both?
Yeah, so poetry gives me a sense of healing, comfort, right? And that's what, when I write my poems and I perform my spoken word pieces, that's the goal, to touch people, heal them, bring comfort to them. And the same way I'm doing that with my poetry, that is what I want to achieve with the teas. So they're very synonymous. Hence, I chose the herbs that can bring about that same feeling. For example, the calm will give you that comforting, healing, relaxing feeling. So, and that's how they marry each other, the poetry and the tea.
And you mentioned earlier to us about ethical sourcing, like there's a ethical process involved in your business?
Of course, yes. So in Grenada, we would source some of our hubs there, as well as we have a local company to help us to source from Turkey, Egypt, Kenya as well. And we ensure our hubs are the best premium quality, right from Grenada, and also that local company that helps us to source from the different parts of the world.
And how do you balance? I mean, you're a wife, you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're a poet, you're an event organizer. How do you find the time? You know, everybody complains they don't have time. You seem to be doing it all.
Well, just like everybody else, I don't really have the time too, but you have to make the time, right? It's, all about organization. And I view all these roles as one. For example, it's like a circle, and all of these make up the circle. I don't isolate any one from the other. I just keep them I view them as a whole.
Got you. And you find the time, you make it happen.
Yes, definitely with the right organization, with support from my family and close friends, definitely. I get it done.
Got you.
And talking about that and all of the various things that you've done and kind of like putting that together as a portfolio to represent your experience, the milestones. What are your plans in terms of developing a portfolio that represents your artistic and your entrepreneurial work? And do you see that as something important to showcase?
Yes, definitely. A portfolio is very important, and it's something that I am working on. With regards to my art as a poet, developing my portfolio of, for example, things like content creation. I know I should be doing more of these things because this will help to really elevate myself as an artist. With regards to the tea as well, developing a portfolio companies that I would have worked with in the past. It's important that I can get that partnership and put it on, for example, my website to enhance credibility. So those are two main facets that I think I should be working on, which I will be working on to help elevate my product and myself as an artist as it regards my portfolio.
And talk a little bit about that. So what are some of the marketing strategies that you've already been using for Outpour and Poeta? And what has worked well for you, and where have you seen challenges?
For Poeta, yes, there are quite a lot of challenges with regards to marketing. Social media is a big part of it, but I have a lot to work with. For example, SEOs and which can really help my business to move forward. So I am working with another agency. Actually, I was introduced to them digital marketing from
beautiful.
Spin.
Yeah. We gotta plug digital mainstream.
Yeah, digital mainstream. I have to mention, amazing,
Aaron?
amazing. Yes,
Shout out to Aaron.
So we are working. And thank you so much, Spin, for that. Yes, so we're working to see how we can, create some marketing strategies there for Poet and as myself as an artist.
And talk a little bit too about like the marketing strategy. How do you brand Poeta? So like, how do you want it to be positioned, or but looked at by your audience? So
Poeta, it needs to be looked at as not just as teas, but something that they can, like a healing, comfort, as I mentioned earlier, because I'm not simply selling teas, I'm selling an experience, right? You have the teas, wonderful tasting teas, herbs are ethically sourced, and you also have that poetry aspect of it that the listener, the reader can enjoy. So I'm selling that experience. This is how I want the audience, the readers, the listeners, whoever it comes in contact with, this is how I want them to view Poeta as an experience.
And talk a bit about that then. What are some of your goals for scaling up Poeta? And what steps do you plan to take, and what advice do you seek to grow your business?
Scaling up Poeta. specialty shops. We are actually at a specialty shop in Bowmanville, so I'm looking to see how I can grow to Toronto and to other areas. St. Lawrence Market, I've been looking at that to see how I can get there. So specialty shops are very important. I spoke to another organization as well with regards to putting it in packages for corporations, gift bundles for corporations. So I'm also looking at that. I may have to do some changes with the label, but it's something that we have in mind, and we're at the forefront of our mind, and we're working on to get to that level.
And we do got part of what we do with these podcast episodes is we, Mark got extensive knowledge on all of these resources, marketing, branding, and whatnot. And so there's an opportunity in the episodes where he can share from his expertise. So, Mark, what would you share for our entrepreneurial sister here?
I think that is one of the main things is going to be the audience that you're going to be going after, and essentially tapping what those audiences are going to be in terms of a demographic. So with tea, there's going to be multiple different audiences that you're essentially going to be able to market and be able to bring value to. And with the healing aspect of the journey, what are you doing right now to essentially give people almost like a blog or information on various aspects that they're looking to heal or things that they're looking to treat? Do you have a way right now where it kind of brings that audience in from an educational standpoint?
Well, one way we're usually invited, for example, by churches, to give a little insight on teas and how it can help the members. We were invited by a church to do seniors, right?
Yep.
So which will educate them. And I need to bring this in, but my husband is a certified nutritionist as well, and he really, really helps when it comes to speaking on the herbs, and so that's a very important aspect of it as well.
I did want to throw in a question suggestion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm on YouTube 24/7, like healing foods for whatever condition. Would it make sense to do some like YouTube shorts about the teas and what they can do? So if people are going on to check like what tea is good for what condition, is that something that might be a good idea? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
You could definitely do short form content. So that'll be kind of part of your content strategy. But even to the fact that you're going into those various places where they're calling you in to speak, are you usually capturing those moments where you're coming in, capturing some of the feedback that's coming from the audience there, like with the seniors that you spoke about being invited to speak to?
So no, I have not captured, like video recording, right? You're speaking of, yes. So I've not captured that, which would be very essential to my content for YouTube, as Ben just mentioned, on other social platforms.
Yes, I think that's kind of one of the keys for your content strategy is going to be keeping it real and authentic to what your brand is and the experiences that your brand interacts with. So if you're going to seniors, even just now as we just tried this tea, that's content for you. That first reaction of somebody sipping the tea, talking about the aroma that's in the air from it, it's really you allowing somebody to feel the experience who's not there in that room. So the different senses essentially that are being experienced during that time. So I think definitely the content in terms of like event highlights, also having different things about your business achievements, the seniors where you're speaking to them, having testimonials, feedback. Right now with your customer base, do you gather a lot of feedback from your current customer base? Like are the reviews online where people are easily able to give feedback from their experience, or right now, where's the main channels that you're selling your tea?
Yeah, so the main channels are at vendor markets on weekends. We also do sell online. We still have a lot of work to do with regards to getting those online sales going, right? But our main channel is through vendor markets. But we do get a lot of feedback. The thing that you mentioned is if the link is easily accessible, and that's one thing digital mainstream has helped me with as well, right? That Google link to ensure that send it out to people, remind them. Do the reviews. They're calling me, they're telling me, they're texting me, but we need it on the platform, the Google platform, right? Yes.
Exactly.
So,
Would it be good for short form creation if I have a second cup of the tea? Like,
You have as many cups as you want. But yeah, so definitely the comprehensive content aspect, the visual appeal. So I would say having like high quality video, high quality images of those same testimonials and people trying different blends and also giving that feedback after terms. So maybe a month down the line, 2 months down the line, if there's like a difference in how they feel, how often they've been using it, having that documented process. Another huge point, I think, would be from the behind the scenes aspect. So covering how you're sourcing the materials, why they're ethically sourced, why they're sustainable, like going more into that story where people can actually see images or video or hear from people who are working in those various, whether it's the farms or the actual processing facilities, just giving more insight into, okay, this is exactly how this goes essentially from farm to my table.
And there's also AI tools that she could use, no? Like that can split the content down for different platforms.
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Like, she gets like a 10-minute long form, and then she can plug it into certain AI tools that will then format it for Instagram or TikTok or YouTube.
Yeah, you definitely can. The main thing, though, is it just depends on what the purpose of that content you're creating is. So if you're getting testimonials, you're going to know kind of what aspect of the testimonial, like what the purpose of it was and what you want to highlight from what they're saying. So you can utilize an AI tool, but essentially what it's going to be doing is just pulling out a section. It may not be that main section that tells your story. So I would say kind of creating that purposeful content where if you're doing a behind the scenes or you're going to an event, you have the events that you want to capture. So whether it's you want to capture a sale, you want to capture somebody trying the tea, you want to capture somebody giving you feedback, and then throughout those days, you capture those different shots. And then you can utilize that through a variety of ways, because the short form content is going to be one way that you can utilize it through social media, et cetera. Drive them to your place of sale, like your website, where they're actually now able to interact to convert to being a paying customer. Another key as well, I would say, is to have like a newsletter. Have direct marketing access to your audience as your audience grows. So it's not about getting 200 customers in one day, but if you're getting 10 customers every week and you can maintain those customers every week, that the first year, that's 520 customers. Second year, now you're at 1,000 customers, and it continues to grow exponentially. But having ways that you can actually directly contact that audience, whether they're signing up with an email to your newsletter, if you have a SMS marketing, meaning that it's like a text marketing list that you have where you're able to send text messages out, but just not depending only on social media. Because if your social media account becomes frozen, it becomes hacked, it becomes blocked, you're now losing access to that audience. Whereas if you're using social media as a point to connect with your audience, and then you're getting that information, that contact information, so that you can directly speak to them, you're always creating an audience that you're able to contact and you can grow with. So now when you have new flavors that are coming out, you have different products that you might have associated with the tea. Maybe it's mugs, maybe it's a spoon, maybe it's like straws to keep like honey or sweeteners in. That way you have a way to be able to not only make your audience aware of it, but also get feedback. Is this something that you want? Do you want mugs from us? Do you want shirts from us? Do you want tea warmers from us? Just being able to kind of gauge the interest in your audience before you take the time to create inventory risk and bring a product that they may not be interested in.
Makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mark. I mean, that's some really, really great ideas and great points that very useful and necessary, for the business and to elevate it and to help it grow. I really, really appreciate that. And we will certainly work towards having all those points integrated into our business.
And right now, do you have a way that you're directly marketing to your audience?
Social media, Instagram, yeah, basically that's what I use. And we do send out an email once a month. I don't think it's enough, but we do send that out.
Is that MailChimp? What do you use for the email?
HubSpot.
Oh,
HubSpot, yes. The CRM system.
Yes, HubSpot.
I know HubSpot. Yeah, and those are great platforms to utilize. Even HubSpot, for example, does have a free option before you go into the paid options. So all of those tools are definitely key because it's allowing you to have more information on your customer and then directly access your customer after. And one of the questions that I was going to ask you as well is, are you currently running contests? Like, what are you doing to incentivize people to give you their email or give you their phone number for marketing activities after?
Not actively, but at some of our vendor markets, we would have where they could scan, sign up, put in the email in order to win a prize. So we have done that in the past, and it's something that we're going to look, especially as the fall is coming up and Christmas, we're going to look at doing that.
Definitely. I think that's key too. And then you can also always, by the fact that you're documenting, you're creating that list, you can see which events and at what times is actually working for you. So how many people are actually signing up? And then later on, how many of those people are actually opening up the emails? So just it's just data essentially. And the more data that you can get from your customer base, the more that you can kind of see patterns in what people generally find interest in your product. So like the persona essentially of your demographic and getting an idea of like what they're interested in, what are the things that they search for, because that'll also be key for your SEO strategy. So like SEO, search engine optimization, and you're focusing in on keywords that people are searching for on the internet when they're either generating awareness, consideration, or looking to buy a product. But at the same time, you want to kind of focus that on their journey. So are they searching for certain ailments at first? And are those places where you can essentially focus and have your brand positioned? Or are they just looking for a nice relaxing tea, something that reminds them of another taste or something else that they've had previously? But kind of just figuring out who those different audiences are that would be interested in your product and then narrowing it down to the ones that you want to focus on. Because as you expand, you can expand into different audiences. But right now it sounds like one of your main audiences is that senior market. And then what's some of the secondary demographics that you're kind of targeting right now?
Well, for example, with our Arouse tea, which helps, with women balancing hormones and so on. So we've had quite a pickup, with that. A lot of people requesting that tea, a lot of women. So that's another target audience that, we're looking at right now.
100%. And what's the feedback? Like, how do people generally find that tea, or do they seek you out, or is it that they've heard about it through other people who purchased your tea before?
So at first they would have, at vendor markets and, they would inform their friends, family. People have actually reached out, let's say about every week, even today. Today we just dropped off, right before we came here, dropped off 2 packages. He called, he said, "Oh, my wife loved your tea. We need 2 packs of those teas again." And it's almost like a subscription. Every month he purchases 2 of those. So it's like, physical subscription right there.
That's what I was going to say too, is that that's another key that you can also scale with your business is a subscription model. And having like a mystery box of teas where each month people are getting the opportunity to sample different teas. So it doesn't have to be your full bag that you currently have. You can create create a smaller package portion. That way you're just exposing them to more of the assortment, and then they can buy the larger bags after based upon what they like. But then it might even be something where people start to give it away as a gift. Because they're getting it so often, and now it's something that in every single person they give it to is now having the opportunity to experience your brand.
Definitely, yes. The gifting is definitely something that we think will work. For example, last Christmas we've had quite a lot of orders for gifts. There is actually a social worker in Durham who ordered 40 packages for the social workers, right, as gifts for them after a workshop. That was last Christmas, which was, really good, and there were other orders as well that went out for gifting. And I think that's something that I could really try to work on to see how I can elevate that.
100%. And the only other part that I also bring up too as well is how do you want it to be identified visibly? Because I can see on the different packages, you have your logo, the typography is the same. But then, for example, it goes into different mugs, and then you'll see different imagery on the mug. Some of them have the tea bag hanging down. Like, what is that consistency in terms of like a visual aspect? Or how do you want it visually represented?
So with regards to the packaging, this was our initial packaging, right? And as I mentioned to Spin earlier, this was our initial packaging. We moved to this packaging. But the vision is to continue having the poems at the back. We just had a little, it will continue, right? So the different colors, it has to do with the color of the tea and the color of the tea. So we decided to make a logo with the different colors. So basically our calm tea, not all of them are, the same color. Like the Boost is orange, the Arouse is red, just as it is. The Focus, the calm is green as it is. The Focus is yellow, but the whole idea of it is to create a color that would coincide with the type of herbs that are there. That would coincide with the herbs that are there to ensure the color of the logo coincides with the herb. Basically, that's what it is.
And then I see like the blended in Grenada is on the majority of them, and then one has the product of Canada. Is the blended in Grenada part of the brand?
So the blended in Grenada was our very first packaging as well. We moved to just having it fully product of Canada. based on requirements and so on, after speaking with our inspector and, so on. So we decided to have that packaging change. So we are still working on changing that packaging. Matter of fact, right now we're in conversation with an organization to print the labels as opposed to having them stick, because those are sticked labels, right? So we're going to now be printing on the bags.
Understood.
Yeah, so we spoke to another organization that deals with the requirements for labels, the nutrition facts and so on. So that's another thing that we're working on to ensure we have that. And this will, enhance our product.
100%. And speaking of that, that's kind of like where I wanted to get into, because I saw it didn't really say as much about like the ethical sourcing and stuff like that, which may be something that would be key to kind of put onto the labeling, et cetera, if that is part of the value and interest that draws in your audience. But what I wanted to ask you was kind of what are those core values that you do want to have highlighted within your packaging and consistent across your brand?
The core values, definitely the ethical sourcing. And as you mentioned, that is one thing we spoke about. So we're going to put sourced from, and we'll have the different countries, the region. So we will be including that in our packages going forward, where it's sourced. So that is one of the main things that we want to have with our new packaging, ethically sourced.
And talk a bit about that. I know you mentioned before that you were in some stores. You were looking to get into more of the specialty stores.
Yes.
Like what about like bookstores, local cafes, like different places where people essentially may have hot drinks beside them as they go through another activity. I was thinking of that in terms of also ways that you can do like product placements to increase visibility of the brand. Just different places where audiences that may not be a part of your core demographic go to, where they could create awareness and kind of get their first touch of the brand, like a first touch point for the brand. So let's talk a bit about that. Like, what are some of the partnerships in the future that you think would align well with your brand, even if it's also related to your poetry, et cetera?
So the bookshops, I haven't, touched on that, but that definitely sounds like something that, we would want to do.
And you're also in the local markets as well. Have you already explored international?
International, I have not thoroughly explored international, but I had some requests, for example, from California. So there are some people who would have reached out based on knowing us, right? Friends or family, and they have ordered and we would have sent, but the shipping is a bit much. So we have to find a way to see how we can minimize on the shipping cost. But definitely international shipping to get our teas cross-border.
This is, I think this has been one of the most informative sessions. Are you on Shopify? One last question that I had.
Not just yet. So I have signed up for Shopify.
Got you.
Right now we use, why am I forgetting what's my platform
provider?
do we use? It's very challenging. WordPress.
Oh,
WordPress.
yeah.
Oh, WooCommerce?
Yes, WooCommerce and
Yes.
WordPress. It's the website is a bit challenging, for us, So I spoke to Aaron,
Good.
and we looking to see how we can migrate to Shopify. See
I
if that
think,
can help with our challenges. Yeah.
Amazing. I want to thank you for coming out, for sharing of your business, your arts, and your entrepreneurship. I got a couple of businesses, and as you know, the entrepreneur life is a struggle sometimes. It doesn't have to be, but there's that meme. I quit my 9 to 5 and now I work 12 to 12. But I'm wondering, what advice do you have, Tracy? Because how long since you came to Canada?
I came to Canada in 2018.
Okay.
October
And
2018.
you've done a great job establishing yourself as a force within the poetry community and then growing your business. So what advice would you have for aspiring artists listening to you and also for business owners?
For the artists, I would say, get on the mic, step out, step up and soar, and if there's not a platform, create one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with regards to Poet, don't stop. There'll be a lot of reasons for you to stop, for you to quit, for you to give up, but keep going. Don't stop. The rewards will come after.
What has kept you motivated to continue in spite of all the struggles?
See, I have a goal, and it's right at the forefront of my mind, And in that goal, within that goal, I see a warehouse. I see so many different lines of teas, and I keep going back to that. You know what? This is where I want to be. So it motivates me. It really, really helps motivate me to keep going to achieve your goal.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. The teas are phenomenal. I definitely want some more. It's been an honor and a pleasure and privilege to have you with us. Any final words, my brother?
No, that was a great podcast. I appreciate you sharing that tea with us. It was delicious. That was boost. Definitely gave me a bit of boost at the beginning of this conversation. And thank you for talking with us, sitting down and sharing a bit about yourself and where you're going to be going in the future. And this was great. And I'd just like to thank you for being here with us on the Raza BIPOC Access Podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mark.